trigger. I want to bring in trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Kelly, good morning. You know a thing or two about complex litigation, and this is a very complicated case. The charges against Baldwin were dropped last year, and then a grand jury came back and indicted him. So let's talk about the gun. That's going to take center stage in this case. Can you tell us more about that?
The gun is going to be key to this case, and this is why. He has been charged with involuntary manslaughter, but there's 2 counts in the alternative. And one was that they alleged that he was negligent with the handling of the firearm, so that he was taking the gun and pointing it at different people. And then in the alternative, the other count of involuntary manslaughter is without due caution. That means that he didn't have care, that he was negligent in the way that he handled the gun. So that's going to be key. According to the state, they say that he pulled the trigger and they have evidence to substantiate the fact that he did. However, according to Baldwin, he did not pull the trigger and that the gun went off. It'll be interesting to see in this case if they have someone testify that was there when it happened to say whether he pulled the trigger or not.
Yeah, he was holding the gun, a very important part of this. SAG-AFTRA has been very vocal about their support of Baldwin, saying an actor's job is not to be a firearms or weapons expert. And armorer Hannah Gutierrez, who was responsible for the weapons on set, has already been convicted of involuntary manslaughter. So do you think that this jury is going to find it hard to convict Baldwin of the same crime?
Well, the jury is going to look at the facts and the evidence and make a determination on what is presented to them. But definitely that's going to be key in his case to say, listen, I did nothing wrong. I did not pull the trigger. He's also going to say that the gun was defective, that there was something wrong with the gun. It's important for the viewers to know that the gun was tested, but when the gun was tested, it was damaged. So one of the arguments that Baldwin is going to make is the fact that the gun was something was wrong with it, and so it wasn't his fault that it was defective, and also the fact that the armorer has already been charged and been found guilty with the exact same counts, and it's not his responsibility. And it's also important to note when he received the gun, he was told that the gun was cold. In other words, that there was no ammunition, and that's going to help substantiate his defense.
So that's one aspect of the trial. Let's move to the celebrity factor. Alec Baldwin, he's a famous actor. He's also known outside of his work for his very public outbursts. How do you think the celebrity status, his celebrity status, is going to be impacting this trial?
It's going to be a dual-edged sword. It's a blessing and a curse for him because some people really like him. They enjoy his movies, and because he's a celebrity, they hold him in high regard. However, it could be a potential curse for him. He has very strong political views, and some people do not like his political views. We also have to remember some of his bad behavior that he allegedly hit a photographer that was taking photos of him. We all can't forget the audio tape of him talking about his daughter and saying some not so nice things about her being kind of like a pig. And so that could definitely play into the case. However, during the voir dire, that's when the jury are selected. The attorneys will get an opportunity to ask the jurors questions to see if they have any bias, because he's entitled under the Constitution to a fair and impartial jury. And if someone can't be fair and impartial, then they can ask for them to be off the jury.
Yeah, and this trial is going to be live streamed, so it'll be really interesting to see how many people tune in and how that impacts this trial. Do you think that Baldwin is going to testify, and could that work for him or against him if he does?
Ultimately, it's going to be his decision whether he is going to testify or not. The attorneys can advise him and tell him whether they should testify or not. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to testify because he's talked so much about this in the public, and usually the attorneys say to their client, don't discuss this case in the public, do not talk about it. But he could definitely potentially take the witness stand if he feels he wants to tell his story to the jury. So it's all possible.
All right, trial attorney Kelly Hyman, we appreciate your insight. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Man, if you thought last week was hot, wait until